Mi gente latina. Hola mi gente, dime a ver. So, the world is ending, AI is taking over the world, and art is dying. Let's discuss. In recent years, it feels like AI has taken the world by storm. It's been integrated into our daily lives heavily, becoming increasingly prevalent in educational institutions including universities, customer care. Seriously, you can't even call customer support without chatting to a robot for like 20 minutes, but I digress. Healthcare, Cybertrucks, and even, you guessed it, art. Now, this is not to say that AI is entirely bad or all evil. Obviously, there are advancements in areas like tech and medicine that have benefited the general public or are on their way to doing so. So here we have this article from Harvard Medical School under Trends in Medicine. It is titled "The Benefits of the Latest AI Technologies for Patients and Clinicians." As you can tell by the date, it came out recently, August of this year. Not sure if this will be posted in 2025, but as of right now, it is 2024. So we're gonna go with that. It is just describing the potential trajectory of AI in healthcare, where it could help with certain tasks, even remove those tasks from the clinicians themselves, stating that it might free up time for those clinicians to help their patients where they don't have to worry about these smaller, tasks. It could also help with major tasks like improving diagnoses and, accelerating the discovery of certain treatments, things of that nature. I do find it just a tad bit scary. Maybe you feel differently, just to think that, AI could be aiding in those things. But in the same token, it is almost inevitable that this type of technology will emerge in the medical field somehow, with the article stating that it will probably cross the entire spectrum of healthcare specialties. And that's coming from Samir Kendall, who is an MD at Beth Israel Lahey Health. Now, it does mention the need for clinicians to get up to speed with AI, being that some clinicians are not familiar with how these technologies work, which, is not surprising, being that it has exploded in the past few years, I feel like more than ever. And then the article goes into how two clinicians make cases for AI, with some of the bold points being listed here, as you can see. The first one being AI can automate tasks to free up a clinician's time. This is something that we mentioned already, so that they have more time to spend with their patients. AI can help clinicians better interpret imaging results. Healthcare organizations improve quality and safety. Girl. And can be an important source of data and expertise for clinicians. Lastly, can aid in the diagnosis and treatment of rare diseases. And I like how in the end it says how to leverage AI, because it's kind of putting in place ways that it could be monitored, used. Now, I'm not advocating for this. I am simply summarizing what the article is explaining to us already, just in the way that the author wrote it. I do feel like there still are some concerning implications with the use of AI in the medical field and in other fields, as we will see later on in the video. But just a thought that it could take someone's job, potentially, as other things have done in the past. However, when dealing with the health of others, it's a little concerning. It's interesting. Maybe I'm not informed enough. Either way, that's just how I feel. Let's move on. We are not here to talk about the benefits of AI. We're here to talk about its contribution to the death of art. To be completely transparent, art itself is not dead. However, it can feel that way to some of us with the constant undercutting and plagiarism AI is guilty of when it comes to artists. There are an infinite amount of examples of AI generated art stealing from creatives in all fields. This is because AI compiles data from things that already exist in order to generate its art. So these prompts are recycling the work of human artists, while at the same time not giving them due credit nor disclosing their use of these pieces. According to an article in The New Yorker, every image that a generative tool produces is an infringing derivative work. Is AI art stealing from artists? Let's see what The New Yorker has to say. Now, there is a lawyer who is behind a class action lawsuit against this generative art, along with artists that have been directly affected by AI-driven imagery. Here we have Kelly McKernan. We see that her art was being used increasingly so in AI-driven image generation, which is really concerning. She has a super specific niche in her art. That's the beauty of art. You can be inspired by other people's art, but the concerning part is that it's being generated. It's not something that is coming from a human, and parts of it are still very integral to her signature, to the point where it feels like plagiarism. Kelly states that it felt like an infringement on her work, which is completely understandable. So she decided to join this class action lawsuit with Sarah Anderson, Carla Ortiz, Matthew Butterick, and Joseph Severi against AI imagery generators like Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and DreamUp. Not going to lie to you, I have never heard of any of these, nor do I want to. And I have no interest in looking them up. Well, here's the thing. Copyright claims when it comes to art are a little bit tricky. It's not black and white, and it depends on the source material that you use in order to argue the case. Legally, there aren't a huge amount of ramifications when it comes to AI yet. I do feel like maybe in the future, that's a big maybe, but for right now there aren't many. It's public information, public database, everything is out there. Most people have access to AI, so it's kind of one of those things where it's how do you regulate it and where do you go from here? However, as the artists listed in this article describe, these AI generators do fall short of transformative use. It's just a blending together of their work that's not being used credibly. It's not being used responsibly. I just want to highlight something here that Butterick said. We're not litigating image by image, we're litigating the whole technique behind the system. Girl, even Getty Images is getting in on this action against Stable Diffusion. The girlies need to get it together. Listing brazen infringement on a staggering scale, sweetie. Something to know, AI generators cannot operate without the labor of humans. And that's a big part of this, is that AI would not exist in the art space the way it does if it weren't for the work that was already created by others. And you could argue that people have been inspired by other artists throughout time, throughout history, from the beginning of art, right? But at the same time, those are other humans. And if one human plagiarizes, then you're just a bad person. But being inspired within the human right is very different from being plagiarized through a computer. And I hope that resonates. I hope that makes sense, because this is the reason that these artists specifically are filing this lawsuit against this generative image company, or companies rather. It goes into music and how AI can be used to create music inspired by or plagiarized with other artists in mind, including Drake. Funny how this AI art page is called Authentic Artists, seeking to bypass human artists altogether. Okay, honey. Let's get into the last sentence in this article. Is art the process? Is art the human component? Is art the conversation? All of that is out of the picture once you're just generating it. That perfectly sums up what I was trying to say earlier, by the way. If I could sum everything up, it would be that 2-sentence conclusion to this article. This article will be linked down below if you are interested. Having this in mind, being a creative in today's society can feel increasingly difficult when these are the things that you are up against. Of course, plagiarism has always been a risk to displaying your art outside of your mind and your house. We are all aware. But for musicians, photographers, artists of any medium, it can be discouraging to create with the fear of being plagiarized and lost in the sea of robotic copycats. I am actually curious to see whether AI actually has any benefits to artists according to the internet. We shall see. Of course, let's check the AI overview. It says providing new creative avenues, enhancing the artistic process through idea generation, assisting with technical aspects like image manipulation. It says it's allowing artists to experiment and express themselves in novel ways. Let's look at the key points: inspiration, visual exploration, accessibility, style transfer, image enhancement, faster production, art authentication, and appraisal. breaking creative barriers. I don't believe any of it, quite frankly. But let's look at this article from nyu.edu. Basically, we are playing advocate for the other side, which I guess embracing creativity, how AI can enhance the creative process. So this article makes the argument for inspiration and idea generation, visual exploration, music composition, textual creativity, which I guess I'm not going to sit here and say that I've never ever used AI, asked it questions or quickly, but in the grand scheme of things, are these things more beneficial than harmful? That's the real question. And as we can see, after this list of benefits, we have some of the challenges that are presented when working with AI, which start off with maintaining artistic authenticity, over-reliance on AI, balanced skill development, limited artistic intuition, and blurring of boundaries. It's interesting that this article does highlight the balance, the delicate dance, if you will, between, technological innovation and artistic expression, because at the end of the day, technology will continue advancing. It's just at what point do we put limitations that kind of respect the crafts of the backs that these products are being built on. And the article continues to put kind of some limitations on the use of AI for artists using these methods listed, like identifying the objective, selecting the right tool, understanding how to integrate AI into content. But it's very easy for this to get out of hand, where AI just takes over the entire craft, if you will, or the entire work that someone might get credit for. It's just kind of like, at what point is AI cheating? And is that even fair for me to say? I think it is. However, that is my opinion. Maybe yours differs from mine. But at what point is someone too reliant on AI to the point where the art isn't really theirs? Something so beautiful about the art process is the process of creating and being able to come up with these ideas, maybe on the fly, or maybe after long artist block or writer's block, or whatever the case may be, whatever your form of art. But then when you finally have that idea, or you're finally naturally inspired by something in your environment, it is something super rewarding. So is it right for me to say that using AI to inspire art is cheating? I don't know. I guess that's up for you to decide for yourself. I do feel like to an extent, yes. But again, in moderation, I feel like most of us have used AI in some form or another. I don't know. Can't speak for everyone. All of these articles will be listed below. However, all of this being said, please don't stop creating. If you were blessed with the talent, appreciate it. It is such a gift. Among the doors that feel like they're closing, many more are opening. And I know that sounds super cliche, but let's walk together for a second. So we are now able to post our art on any social media platform, including places like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, if those are places that you frequent. And it's easier now than it was in the past to both sell and purchase or simply share your art. For those artists that are on the more traditional side, you don't necessarily have to go to a gallery if that's not within your goals to get your pieces out there. It's also easier than ever to connect and be inspired by art and artists from around the world. And there are a lot of tools we can try to utilize to our benefit today that simply were not possible in the past. Now, that is not to say that pursuing art is easy. Porque mi gente, it is not. It's more to highlight ways that artists can benefit from the means afforded to us today. And given that we are on the topic of art, I have something I'd like to share with you today. I love art. I've been drawing since I could hold a pen, and I am self-taught, but other artwork that I might come across, be it in a museum, in someone's home, online, street art, definitely inspires me and pushes me to continue producing my own art. Personally, I am super passionate about drawing with references and without, be it on paper or digitally. Let me know down below if you would like a sketchbook tour, because we can arrange that. I also create dioramas, although I have not created one in who knows how long. It's been a long time. But I wouldn't mind showing you my process when it comes to creating those. But enough yapping. Let me show you a couple of my favorite pieces. All in all, my love for art runs deep and always has. And for that reason, I am looking to get better because I am nowhere near where I'd like to be. Maybe that's the perfectionist in me, yo no sé. But I want to take you guys on that journey with me of becoming a better artist gradually. There's different mediums I want to explore, so many ideas just waiting to come to life. All things I cannot wait to show you. Also, are you an artist? That's a silly question. The answer is yes. And as a fellow artist, I would love for you to join the community. Please subscribe, like, comment if you so desire. And I just want to take the time to say thank you so much for getting to the end of this video. I do appreciate it. And in all seriousness, mi gente, there are just so many talented people on this platform. I'm looking at you. I'm just happy to be here. And I hope you are too. Habla bonita. Adios.